Okay, so we're creating shapes in After Effects, our native shapes, um, and these are done in our shape layers. And to do that, you can approach it in a couple of ways. You can select any of your drawing tools, such as your shape tools, and you can draw, and you will take the fill and the stroke properties that are currently set up here at the top, and you'll get your shape. You'll also get a shape layer with some contents, a content section, and within that content section, you will have the shape that you've just drawn. So from here on in, generally speaking, what you're going to do is you're going to keep that shape layer selected, and you're going to just keep drawing, and you're going to keep adding content to that layer. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it. Another way that you can do it is to right click, go up to your new shape layer, and it'll just give you an empty shape layer. Open that up, and where it says contents, you can now add something from within that. So it can get an ellipse, and that ellipse is now basically clean. It doesn't have any strokes with fills or styles of any kind applied to it. Okay, so this allows you to work kind of from the inside out, in that you start with an empty shape layer with no contents. You create a content with no style, and then you add the style. So you can get a stroke, for example, and that stroke is going to be applied to any shapes that are currently created and are sitting above that stroke there. So if I go to my contents now, and I get anything at all, really, just a rectangle, and I'm going to just open that up and just move that across. You'll see that that rectangle now takes the same stroke. So this is a way of applying one style across multiple shapes, and each one of those shapes is going to be manipulable on its own, but it'll take a single style. Okay, anyway, so let's see. So we've got a rectangle, we've got an ellipse, and I can just get them to overlap each other. I'll just slide the one over the other there. And the next thing that we can do is we can start playing around with merges. So what I'll do is I will add, no, I'll just scale them up a little bit on their own. Okay. So I go into each one of these objects, find its size property, and I can also reposition as well. So I just want them kind of overlapping each other, because I want to see how they behave when they start to merge. So to do that, we go up to where it says contents, we go over to add, we go up to merge paths. So merge path by default is dropped underneath all of the currently drawn shapes, and the merge path has its own property mode, which is either add or subtract or intersect. Okay, so this gives you the same flexibility as you would have with masks. It's pretty much the same thing. We add, we get a kind of a compound complex shape where all of the corners and curves and stuff are all added together, and then we get more of a kind of a cutout if we do a subtract. And as you can see, an intersect is only where the two paths overlap. Okay, so interesting things happen then when you do, you know, a basic kind of position change on this, for example. So you can see when it comes through, it kind of starts to merge, and we could use that for something like a lower third or some sort of a strap shape to go behind text. Whatever, doesn't matter. It's the merge that's the important part. So we'll just leave them merged as we'll go back and add them. Okay, so we have two paths that are merged. We've got an ellipse and we've got a rectangle. Let's get ourselves another shape. Let's go for a polystar. So the polystar shows up again right in the middle because we didn't draw it. It just gives us a default size, neutral shape, and puts it in the middle. Now we can't see any stroke because it's currently inside an add merge. Okay, so it's not going to show any of strokes there. But if I was, for example, to move that Polystar across, just find its position, you'll see that it is in fact part of that merge. Okay. Now, what we want to do with this one is we want to do a different kind of a merge where we want the path to kind of cut back in. So we'll just leave it overlapping there so we can see the result. So to do this, what I need to do is I need to drop it down under where it says merge path, so it doesn't get merged. It just comes back out and is, you know, fully stroked shape. And I get another merge. This time it's going to go down under the Polystar and it's going to be set to subtract. Okay, so now I can just go back into my Polystar and maybe scale that up a little bit. Outer radius, inner radius. So you can see now that we can do quite a lot of adding and subtracting and making complex shapes out of simple shapes. And if at any time we want to say, okay, well, I like this Polystar, but I want to start pulling it around with the pen tool, then what you want to do is convert it to a Bezier path. And now it is just another vector shape that you can modify, as I say, as you would anything else. So that's an overview of the inside out way of creating shapes, stroking them, adding merges to add and subtract. From there on in, it's really just about trying to kind of keep things tidy as you can. But, you know, probably the best bit of advice is to just keep it as simple as you possibly can. And that'll always help you to keep things manageable.